Did you know that Billy the Kid, one of the most notorious outlaws of the Wild West, was allegedly involved in at least 21 murders by the age of 21? A grim tally indeed. Our tale begins with a boy named Henry McCarty, born in the mid-1850s in an Irish neighborhood of New York City. Little is known about his father, but his mother, Catherine McCarty, was a strong woman who made sure young Henry received an education. They moved west for a better life, and the rough and tumble environment of the frontier would come to shape young Henry. As a teen, he found himself in Silver City, New Mexico. It was here that he earned his infamous moniker. He was just a kid, Billy to his friends, but life on the frontier was harsh. After his mother's death from tuberculosis, Billy found himself alone, with no family, no money, and no prospects. Billy the Kid's life took a turn when he joined the Regulators, a self-appointed posse in the Lincoln County War. This was a period that saw him evolve from a petty thief to a notorious outlaw. The Regulators were formed in the late 19th century, a group of young gunslingers who took the law into their own hands in the midst of a tumultuous time in Lincoln County, New Mexico. Billy, with his quick wit and faster gun, quickly became a prominent member of this group. His charisma and courage made him a force to be reckoned with. During his time with the Regulators, Billy was involved in numerous skirmishes and gunfights. He was fearless and bold, often leading charges and never backing down from a fight. His reputation grew, and so did his list of enemies. The Lincoln County War, a violent feud between rival business factions, was the perfect storm for Billy. His involvement in the war escalated his criminal career and put him on the radar of law enforcement. He was no longer just a petty thief, he was now a wanted man, a symbol of defiance and rebellion. One of the most notorious events during this period was the Battle of Lincoln, a 5-day shootout in the streets of Lincoln. Billy, along with the rest of the Regulators, was heavily involved in the fight. His reckless bravery and sharpshooting skills made him a standout figure in the chaos. However, the war was not all glory and honor. It was a brutal and bloody conflict filled with deceit and treachery. Lives were lost, families were torn apart, and a town was left in ruins. It was a dark chapter in the history of the Wild West, and Billy the Kid was right in the middle of it. The Lincoln County War was a brutal and bloody conflict, and Billy the Kid was right in the middle of it. The Lincoln County War was a pivotal point in Billy the Kid's life. It's where he truly earned his reputation as a ruthless gunslinger. In early 1878, tensions escalated in Lincoln County, New Mexico, culminating in a violent feud that would later be known as the Lincoln County War. This conflict saw two factions, the Murphy-Dolan faction and the Tunstall-McSween faction, at each other's throats, and in the center of this turmoil was none other than Billy the Kid. Billy was part of the Tunstall-McSween faction, also known as the Regulators. This group was initially formed to protect the business interests of Englishman John Tunstall and his partner, attorney Alexander McSween. However, when Tunstall was brutally murdered by members of the Murphy-Dolan faction, the Regulators' mission shifted from protection to revenge. When the dust of the Lincoln County War settled, Billy the Kid found himself a wanted man with a price on his head. This marked the beginning of his life after the war, a life filled with uncertainty, fear, and a constant need to look over his shoulder. In the aftermath of the war, Billy's reputation as an outlaw was well established, and he was seen as a threat by many. The territorial authorities were determined to bring him to justice, and so, the life of Billy the Kid was filled with running, hiding, and evading capture. But Billy was not one to give up easily. He sought amnesty for his deeds, hoping to wipe the slate clean. He reached out to Governor Lew Wallace, offering to testify against other participants of the Lincoln County War in exchange for a pardon. The governor agreed, and Billy held up his end of the bargain, providing information that led to several arrests. However, the promised pardon never came. In December of 1880, Billy was captured and sent to jail. But even behind bars, the kid's spirit remained unbroken. He managed to escape in April of the following year, killing 2 deputies in the process. This daring escape only served to increase the bounty on his head and intensify the manhunt. Billy's life on the run came to an end in July 1881. Sheriff Pat Garrett, a former friend turned foe, tracked him down to Fort Sumner, New Mexico. In a darkened room, Garrett shot and killed Billy, bringing an end to the short and tumultuous life of one of the most notorious outlaws of the American West. Billy the Kid's life after the Lincoln County War was a constant game of cat and mouse with the law. He lived under the shadow of the bounty on his head, always on the run, always in hiding. But even in these challenging circumstances, he never lost his spirit. He remained unbroken, undeterred, and unapologetically himself. Billy's life was filled with action, adventure, and danger. He lived on his own terms, refusing to bow down to the law or to anyone else. His story is a testament to his courage, his resilience, and his indomitable spirit. In the end, Billy the Kid was more than just an outlaw. He was a symbol of the wild, untamed spirit of the American West. His life was a tale of rebellion, resistance, and survival against all odds. And while his life was cut short, his legend lives on, inspiring countless stories, songs, and films. Billy the Kid's life was short, but it was filled with more action, adventure, and danger than most people experience in a lifetime. His story is a reminder of a time when the West was wild, and life was a high-stakes game of survival. And even though he is no longer with us, his spirit continues to live on in the tales of the American West. Billy the Kid is long gone, but some say his spirit still roams the Wild West. In the spectral world, there are numerous accounts of people who claim to have encountered Billy the Kid's ghost. Some of these sightings are from places deeply associated with him, while others are more unexpected. Let's dive into these chilling tales. First, let's journey to the town of Lincoln, New Mexico. Lincoln is a place where Billy's life was deeply intertwined with the infamous Lincoln County War. It's also home to the Lincoln County Courthouse, where Billy made his daring final escape. In the dead of night, visitors and locals alike have reported eerie occurrences. Footsteps echo through the empty hallways, doors creak open and shut on their own. Some even claim to see a figure resembling Billy, casually leaning against a wall, only to vanish when approached. Then there's the St. James Hotel in Cimarron, another site with a rich history entwined with Billy's life. Guests and staff have reported unexplained events, such as lights flickering on and off, and unaccountable cold spots. And yes, there have been sightings of a young man matching Billy's description, often spotted in the corner of one's eye but disappearing when given a second glance. But what about Billy himself? Did he ever encounter the supernatural? Well, there's a story that Billy once shared with his friends, a story he swore was true. According to Billy, he once met a spectral figure while on the run. The apparition, an old man in tattered clothes, warned Billy about an impending ambush. Billy heeded the warning and indeed, narrowly escaped a posse lying in wait. This ghostly encounter, as Billy claimed, saved his life. Another tale speaks of Billy's encounter with La Llorona, a legendary figure in Mexican folklore. While traveling near the Pecos River, Billy heard a woman's wailing. He then saw the figure of a woman dressed in white, weeping by the river's edge. Recognizing her as La Llorona, Billy spurred his horse and fled. Whether these encounters were real or just products of an active imagination, they certainly add to the mystique of Billy the Kid. So, what do we make of these tales? Are they just fanciful stories spun by imaginative minds, or could they hold a kernel of truth? Perhaps Billy's spirit does linger, unwilling or unable to leave the places and times that defined his life. Or maybe these stories are just our way of keeping the legend of Billy the Kid alive, a testament to his enduring influence on our collective consciousness. Whether these ghostly sightings are true or not, they add another layer to the legend of Billy the Kid. Billy the Kid's life was a whirlwind of violence, lawlessness, and rebellion, but what is his legacy today? As we reflect on the life of William H. Bonney, better known as Billy the Kid, we realize that his story is not just about an outlaw's life in the Wild West. It is a tale of a young man barely out of his teens caught up in circumstances that led him down a path of violence and rebellion. His story is a complex tapestry of lawlessness, loyalty, bravery, and tragedy. Billy the Kid's impact on American history is undeniable. His life, filled with gunfights, jailbreaks, and a thirst for justice, has become legendary. His name is synonymous with the wild, untamed spirit of the American West, and his story has captivated audiences for generations. Today, Billy the Kid is perceived in many ways. To some, he is an outlaw, a symbol of lawlessness and disorder. To others, he is a tragic hero, a young man who stood up against corruption and injustice in a lawless time. His life has been the subject of countless books, movies, and songs, each interpreting his story in its own unique way. His influence on popular culture is vast. From the silver screen to the pages of novels, Billy the Kid's story has been told and retold, each rendition adding a new layer to his legend. His image, The young gunslinger with a quick draw and a fearless spirit has become an iconic symbol of the American West. Billy the Kid, outlaw or hero? In the end, the answer may depend on who you ask, but one thing is certain, his story continues to captivate us long after his death. His legacy is not just about the deeds of his short life, but also about the enduring fascination that his story holds. Billy the Kid, with his youthful defiance and tragic end, remains a compelling figure in the annals of American history. His legend, like the man himself, refuses to fade into the sunset. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the life and legend of Billy the Kid. We've traveled through time, from the dusty streets of the Wild West to the ghostly echoes of the present day. We've delved deep into the heart of a young man whose name became synonymous with rebellion, lawlessness, and the untamed spirit of the American frontier. Your curiosity and passion for history, just like ours, keeps these stories alive. If you found this journey informative and engaging, please give this video a like. Your support really makes a difference. And if you want to continue exploring the legends of the Wild West, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. There are countless stories waiting to be told, and we can't wait to share them with you. Until next time, keep your curiosity alive and keep exploring the legends that make history so fascinating. Your support really helps us out. Until next time, keep exploring the legends of the Wild West.